Okay, so today we're going to be covering a topic that is a bit more serious, and you can class it as drama, hence the title. Now, I know a lot of people hate when I cover drama, and they say all I cover is drama. I would like to point out I'm trying to avoid it. Like, if you look at my past videos, I haven't really talked about any of it in like ages, but I feel like sometimes there is some that I need to address, or at least I want to give my opinion on, and that is what this video is. Trust me, I don't really like to make these videos, hence why they're never really here often anymore, but I do just want to, at least bring this into conversation because it's something that's been happening for the past couple years that people haven't really touched upon. I mean, people know it's happening, but no one really questions it. So this post has been going around for a while. Some top players and some notable figures have commented on it, just giving their thoughts on this, and basically this comment was kind of calling out a lot of the Russian players. I'm not saying the Russian community in general, just a couple of the Russian players that are notable in our community are kind of throwing around some hateful words and references and stuff, and they're kind of just acting like it doesn't mean much. They're kind of not really caring about what they actually mean and if it's affecting anyone, right? You can literally read the text here. I'm not going to go over it, but you can see they've given some examples of stuff the Russian players have been doing. We can see the level Glow Job on here, and this is another level that recently sparked a lot of drama. I didn't cover it because, again, I don't really want to cover much drama, but I feel like I need to cover this one. And it's the first mythic-worthy level to get banned. RobTop banned this level. It might have been Elder Mod, I can't remember. But you can see why. I mean, this is the reason that most people think why it got banned. It is this art. Whether that's ban-worthy, I don't necessarily know, but you can tell why those... you can tell why that part is probably the reason it got banned. Then there's Our Shadows Cosmos Unleashed here, which everyone knows what happened here. Like, I know the ovals are pretty funny, right? There's funny buff, but there was a little flashing thing there, and it was a reference to World War II Germany. Fill in the dots, right? But the fact that something like that is getting referenced in a upcoming top 1 that is bound to get a bunch of attention is pretty weird, even though it's only for a second. And of course, there's a Green Bullet situation that's happened recently. If you remember, Nickname just verified a top 5 called Green Bullet, and in his completion video, at the very end, where he's at the end screen, there is a pretty obvious cut, so I'll just let him get to that, and then I'll explain what that cut actually was.
Что? Я верифнул, я верифнул, я верифнул. Так, это придется вырезать.
And that is because some top players were in VC with Nickname when he verified it, and they decided to reference a certain World War II Germany, a certain saying they say. You can see it here, right? And again, this is kind of specifically a Russian community thing that's happening. These seem to only really be happening with the Russian side of the community, or like the Eastern European side of the community. There's also this comment from Kira, which I mean, there's no defending that one. I don't care if that one's a joke. Like, it's just there's no like meaning to it all. It's just there. And that's kind of the case of a lot of these. It just seems like they're randomly throwing out these things for no reason. Now, Nickname does put attention to this, and we'll read out his replies. He said that this edgy type of humor is quite inherent to Eastern European communities, and especially Russian-speaking ones, and while it can definitely be offensive on the outside to others, it doesn't necessarily aim to spread actual hate with it. Now, that comment, I mean, I agree and disagree with it. If you've been in communities with a bunch of different countries from around the world, if you've spoke to a bunch of people outside of your country, and you've spoke to a lot of Eastern European people, that is actually a true fact, right? And you can tell when they're just doing it for the funnies, and when, they're actually trying to mean something with it. I would say the Cosmos 68 and the Green Bullet things, it's kind of obvious that they're just doing it for a laugh, right? Does that mean it's right? No, but you can tell that they don't necessarily actually mean any hate with it. For the glow job, like, I don't even think that level should have been banned. Maybe it didn't need to be rated, but banning that is a bit too far. It doesn't really. It's not really the same level as the others, in my opinion. However, yeah, I do need to point out that even if this is for the funnies, I still think it's wrong, okay? Because these levels are gonna get a ton of attention, okay? It's not like our Shadow didn't know that Cosmos Unleashed was gonna blow up. He was already popular when that issue arised. Same for Green Bullet, right? Like, those people in the VC, they knew that this is a verification, and this level, this verification video is going to be massively popular, and it's going to be a very influential level, right? But they're still kind of doing this, and I think that they're not really understanding that, yes, for in the Russian community, that is normal, and people understand that it's not meant to be offensive. But you can't really do that at a scale towards, like, hundreds of thousands of people, right? Because that's the amount of people that are going to be seeing stuff like Cosmos Unleashed and Green Bullet. And a lot of these people aren't from communities that they're in, and they take this stuff a lot more seriously. And for people who don't necessarily know that they're joking, then that's gonna cause some debate, hence what's happened here. And even, like, just joking about it in general, some things you don't cross the line at. I mean, that's not okay. I will be fair. Most people have inevitably, right, made these kind of jokes. I'm sure 90% of people who are watching this have some point in their life done something similar to this. I'm not going to argue against that. The difference is that these are things happening in very public levels with a lot of popularity and eyes towards them. It's not just a silly VC with a couple friends, right? Or on a video that's gonna get 100 views. This is an actual, like, public thing. And I think people aren't really getting that in the community, at least these couple people. There's a lot of messages I've disagreed with Poltergeist on Twitter, but this one I heavily agree with him. He says, I understand Eastern European teenager locker room humor very well, and I'm the last person to be outraged by it. But there does come a point where you have to put on a suit and tie and act like an actual adult, and the top 5 verification is one of those times. That's pretty much exactly what I said. I pretty much agree with every word said here. Think of it this way, you and your friends would not do this if you were outside in the street. You wouldn't do it if you were on a podium in school being awarded by the teacher or if you won a sports game. Nobody can police what you do in a random Discord call, and trust me, plenty of edgy stuff goes down there, even on the western side of the community. Keep it down after completion or when you're streaming. That is exactly what I'm trying to say here, right? Like, yes, these things, we're not gonna act like people don't say them privately, okay? I mean, I feel like I'm repeating here, but yeah, like Poltergeist said, you put a suit and tie and just, like, understand that at this level, these are probably not the things you should be saying. Nickname also said, basically, it's something that's said and forgotten in a few minutes, it isn't something to be taken seriously, and I do think, like, this should stay private and not taken out of everyone to see for a rage bait or whatever reason, because it is most of the time ignorant and or corny for Western communities. That's one of the 2 reasons I cut out of those words said in VC from my verification. And yeah, that's why I think that Nickname is a bit more understanding here. I don't think hate should be sent to Nickname because at the end of the day, he did cut it out of that video, right? He isn't the one necessarily doing the things. This is being done by other people in the community. Like I said, not every person that's Russian is to blame for this. A lot of people will immediately just say, "Oh, the Russian community don't understand the other, like, societies, right?" Or whatever you want to say. But no, it's not every single Russian doing this. It's just a lot of them are, because that's how they've grown up. That's just the humor that's went around. But that doesn't mean that, they should be doing this. That being said, I can assure that neither our Shadow 7 nor Wordy actually endorse those ideologies. And I think that's pretty obvious, like, no one is obviously endorsing the stuff that is being done here, right? I feel like everyone in history class definitely joked about this at one point, or you heard other people joke about it in a classroom or something, right? But then again, that is a completely different stage. It is not even near the same level as posting videos that could gain hundreds of thousands of views and attention to a community that, I'm gonna be honest, the GD community likes to start things. This is a community that loves to take like a small thing that happens and blows it out of proportion. You could say, I guess I'm doing the same by covering this, but I don't know. This thing is just something that's been happening for a while now, I've noticed, and this is the first time I've really seen it being talked about by a big figure like Nickname. So I feel like it's good to at least just give this a conversation. This is more probably less a drama video, more just a conversation on how these things have went down the past couple years. How are we perceiving these actions? And like I said, I don't really like to post these news videos. You can check my. I swear, so many people as soon as I upload a news video will say I'm just news slop. I barely actually cover them anymore because I just don't. I just don't think it's necessary now most of the time, but I do want to have a conversation on this. Here we go, here's another comment I agree with. Yes, I know how Eastern European humor looks like, but most people do it privately with their friend, not on videos that will get at least tens of thousands of views. And yeah, if you're doing it private, it's a bit insensitive, but like that is going nowhere outside of like your friend group, right? So I feel like anything goes unless it's actually harming someone in your friend group and, they're not taking it too fondly. But if you are all agreeing that the joke is fine, right? And it's in private and you are all just having a laugh, then it's completely fine. But these guys know that Nickname is verifying Green Bullet. In fact, they did it at the end screen. Not during the run, in the end screen, where they know he's verified it, right? There's no getting away here with this. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of my video. Again, send no hate to Nickname. It's clear that he doesn't really want anything to do this. He's just, covering it because people are talking about it, and it's clear that, he actually cares. He does, mute the actual sayings that are being said in his verification. And again, no hate to the other players because, again, they're not meaning it seriously, right? To them, it is a joke, right? It is just something for the funnies. But I think we do need to acknowledge that in the future, maybe let's tone this down a bit, just be a bit more thoughtful when it comes to something like this. I'm sure that it's hurt no one watching the video, right? But it's still just a bit insensitive to say. And as for this level glow job, like, yeah, I don't think it's on the same level. I don't think it should have been banned. I can understand why you want this banned, but because, it's kids. There's kids, a whole bunch of kids on the platform, and they're going to be playing a level with that kind of art, right? But at the end of the day, I really don't think it's ban worthy. Like, again, yeah, maybe it's mythic worthy, but I don't think it should be rated because of it. But, like, I feel like a ban's a bit too far. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. I've yapped a bit. Thanks for watching all the way through. Don't have much more to say, and peace.